I would like to thank Craig J for sending me this story that is coming out of Tennessee, where you have this thing that looks like a fucking thumb confessed to burning a black man because it was cited in the Bible. Let's get into it. A Tennessee man allegedly wrote a jailhouse letter to a white supremacist group admitting he burned a black man alive and cited the Bible as one of his influences. Nashville's WTVF reported Monday that John Daniel Carruthers, accused of murdering his black halfway house roommate Robert Miller in March, claimed the Bible is for white people and referenced the religious text in his alleged confession letter. I believe the Bible is about white people and for white people, Carruthers' jailhouse letter read. I am in the Rutherford County Jail for burning a black man I set on fire with lighter fluid poured on his head. After the Sheriff's Department found the suspect's apparent confession letter in the outgoing mail, prosecutors are now considering upping the charges against him using a hate crime enhancement. WTVF noted that Tennessee does not have a specific hate crime statute, but that the U.S. Department of Justice may intervene, a move that could result in federal hate crime charges. You know what I've noticed? A lot of these southern states do not have a hate crime charge, but a lot of these hate crimes happen in these southern states. Like, remember, with Dylan Roof, South Carolina did not have a hate crime law until they implemented one after what he did at that church back in 2015. So it seems like they just are waiting for something like this to happen for them to implement a hate crime law. Now, what if this guy never confessed to this? This guy deserves the death penalty. Don't have him sitting in jail without parole for life and having us taxpayers having to pay for him to stay at least comfortable. They need to strap his ass to the chair, and maybe they can use one of those opioid injections like the state of Nebraska just implemented. It says the report did not specify which white supremacist group Carruthers reportedly addressed the letter to. At this point, it doesn't really matter. Excuse me. They just know that it's a hate group that probably was laughing tears of joy as they read that letter, especially when it got to the point where it said he burned a black man alive after he put lighter fluid on his head, which means he most likely he had to have burned him from his head and then went down to his feet. Because no, usually a lot of people would do it from the body, from the torso, and then it just spread. But this guy burned from the head. He wanted to make sure this guy was dead. And he referenced the Bible. Dear black Christians, do you see how a lot of them get down? But see, this is the thing. That Bible was used to control our ancestors back during slavery. Chattel slavery, that is. And was used as a mechanism for 400 plus years. And unfortunately, it's still used to this day. We're just not in bondage or in chains and picking cotton, what have you. But they got us mentally. And I've always said mental slavery is worse than physical, because if they can get inside of the mind, they got you for life. Why do you think a lot of black people do some of the stuff they do to try to appease white people? It goes back to that mental slavery. They don't have to whip you anymore. They don't have to rape you anymore. They don't have to force you to pick cotton or work in the house or work in the fields and do that, do this and do that. Because once they mentally got you, that's it. To be quite honest, if they had knew that they could get you mentally that way for so long, they probably would have cut slavery short. But then again, they needed the free labor for as long as they possibly could. And they've also, in some instances, tried to convince you that you are not the one that built this establishment. And they also have tried to get into your head that we don't invent anything, which is a huge lie. The only thing they've ever made was that goddamn patent office, which I'm very sure a lot of black inventions are in that office right now, but they're not getting any of the credit because they slapped a white name on it. But y'all let me know what you think about this story down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The links will be down below. I'll talk to you in the next one.